Good morning. Well, it's Monday the 16th of March 2020 and I've come back to Worcestershire. More specifically, I'm in the village of Abberley. And today I'm going to be doing the Abberley Circular Walk. Following the lane towards the village centre, I shortly turned right into a field to follow a path climbing steadily uphill. It's nice to come out and do a walk again. Yeah. Now, I don't really know Worcestershire at all, but I came to Abberley briefly many years ago, so that's the reason why I've chosen this particular walk today, but I will talk about that more later on today. Continuing my ascent across the very muddy field, I soon entered woodland, where my climb steepened. At the top, I came out onto a lane called Winniot's Way. Turning right down the lane, I had great views of Woodbury Hill, as well as the tall object I was heading for. Abberley Clock Tower is a prominent, distinctive clock tower. Built by James Pearce St Aubyn around 1883 for Abberley Hall, it is now part of Abberley Hall School. It is a Grade II listed building and claimed to be visible from 6 counties. Abberley Hall is the work of Samuel Dawkes, dating from 1846 to 1849, which has been occupied by Abberley Hall School since 1916. Well, I think that's absolutely lovely. I'm sure nobody will disagree with me on that. Well, I just took this short detour to take a look at this clock tower close up, so it's now time to continue with the main part of the walk. From the clock tower, I enjoyed the views towards the Shropshire Hills in the distance, and retraced my steps to Winniot's Way. Climbing back up the lane, I headed on to Abberley Hill, where I reached the Abberley Circular Walk, as indicated by the Abberley Clock Tower waymark. Well, I've now joined the Abberley Circular Walk. Now, because I've actually been to the clock tower first, I think it might be easier if I do the circular walk in an anti-clockwise direction. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because when I looked online at Worcestershire County Council's website, that's where they've got a leaflet of the circular walk, and I think the directions actually take you in a clockwise direction. But because of my detour to the clock tower, I think it might be better for me if I do it the other way around, so not that it really matters either way. It's still going to be a nice walk.
When the path eventually levelled out, I approached the triangulation pillar, marking the highest point of Abberley Hill at 928 feet above sea level.
What a beautiful day it's turning out to be. I knew the forecast for today was supposed to be really nice weather, so that's why I set aside today to come down to Worcestershire again. So glad I've come here today. It's glorious. It's still very muddy underfoot, but that's only to be expected this time of year. And I must admit we have had some very, very wet weather of late. February was the wettest February on record, and Worcestershire, sadly, was one of the worst affected areas in the country. The flooding has been awful. It's been worse than ever, and it's just been really sad, and I know that a lot of people have suffered badly because of the floods. I just hope now that things get better. But anyway, that aside, it's really nice around here. Part of Worcestershire I've never really explored before, so I'm really enjoying this walk so far.
Continuing along the ridge path of Abberley Hill, I had more great open views to the south and west. I also had the best views of the day of Abberley Hall and the clock tower.
Beautiful, just beautiful.
My path entered woodland again as I continued along the Abberley circular walk. I had occasional views through the trees of the countryside to the north. At a fork, I bore right before turning right again steeply downhill when I reached the edge of Shaver's End Quarry.
If I don't slip and fall on my arse now, I will be very surprised.
When I finally reached the bottom of the muddy and very slippery descent, the path levelled out again. Here I had views to the southeast towards Yarhampton Cross. After having passed through more woodland, the views to my right opened out again. There was a wide view to the east over the valley of Dick Brook, with the tall tower of Astley Church in the centre. To the northeast, I could see the Clent Hills in the distance. I turned left as I came out onto a country lane, and after a short distance turned right to drop down into a field.
Another reason I'm glad to do this walk today was because I just wanted to get away from all the depressing news we've been having recently. I mean, the news was dominated recently by all the flooding in the UK, and particularly here in Worcestershire, as I said earlier. But now we're in the midst of this coronavirus, and that's all you see on the telly, and it's just really depressing. I mean, I'm not going to make any comments on the coronavirus, but what I will say is that when I left home this morning to start my journey, I was feeling quite chirpy because I thought, great, I'm looking forward to doing this walk in Abberley today. But I turned the radio on because I want to listen to all the travel updates just to make sure that there are no serious delays anywhere on the motorways. But of course, the radio was dominated by talks about the coronavirus. So by the time I arrived here in Abberley and parked the car at the village hall car park, I was like, oh. So I was feeling depressed again. But I say, I'm not going to make any comments about the coronavirus. All I will say is that deeply in my heart, I hope for all of us that it's all past us very, very soon and we can live our lives normally again. But today, I'm halfway through the walk and it's lovely, so despite all the depressing news, I am still thoroughly enjoying my walk. I'm so glad I came here to Abberley today.
Reaching Netherton House, the Abberley Circular Walk directed me left along Netherton Road. Soon I left the lane again as I took a path off to the right into another field.
Blimey, it's a bit waterlogged here. Wow, that was muddy. Whew.
Passing behind a house and into one final field, I reached the lane again, along which I turned right to enter Abberley village.
When I started this walk this morning, I did say that there was a reason why I came to Abberley to do this walk. Well, back in the latter part of 1986, and I did talk about this a little bit when I was in the Malvern Hills recently, but I went on a cycling holiday where I remember cycling across the Forest of Dean one day, staying that night in the Malvern Hills youth hostel, and then the next morning I cycled to Shropshire. And I spent a few days in Shropshire after the Malvern Hills. But the journey from the Malvern Hills to Shropshire, that day I stopped here at Abberley for my lunch. So I just thought it'd be really nice to have a look around Abberley a bit more thoroughly. Because when I was looking online recently, I discovered there was the Abberley Circular Walk. And of course the clock tower, so it just seemed like a must-do walk really. But yeah, so when I had my lunch here at Abberley, I then moved on to Shropshire, and I remember staying in a youth hostel called Wheat Hill, which, like many other youth hostels in the UK, I don't think is there anymore. But yeah, it was a nice stop here at Abberley on the way.
Abberley is a village of 3 distinct parts. This is the oldest part, known as the village, and clusters around the 12th and 13th century parish church of St Michael. To the west, and divided from the village by farmland and the Cleobury Road, is the common, where the largest part of the population lives, as well as a village shop with post office. Between the village and the common, on the Cleobury Road, are the primary school and the village hall. Here in the oldest part of Abberley is the village pub, the Manor Arms Inn.
When I stopped for lunch in Abberley in 1986, I went into the Manor Arms Inn, and I remember it being a lovely pub I mean, I'm talking 34 years ago. But what I remember, because I would have been 20 at the time, and there was a guy working in there who would have been around my age, and he was a lovely, helpful chap. He was waiting, he was sort of, waiting the tables, but he was just one of the friendliest guys I can remember. And something in my head is telling me his name might have been Adrian. But whoever that guy was, that's what I remember about going to that pub for lunch, is the young chap that was serving me when I had my lunch. He was really lovely. Great memories of Abberley. Well, Abberley really is a lovely little village, but there's just one more thing I need to see before the end of my walk.
Across the green from the village is the large Victorian St Mary's Church, built between 1850 and 1852. It was designed by John Jenkins Cole and enlarged by the same architect in 1877, following a fire in January 1873. It was built to replace St Michael's Church when the latter fell into disrepair, though the chancel of St Michael's was later restored and is still used for some services.
I found it rather difficult trying to get inside the other church, but it's really nice to be able to get inside this one and have a look. I've enjoyed my walk today. It's been lovely. And the Abberley circular walk has been really nice, even though I did it in the opposite direction to the way most people do it, but I don't think it really matters. That detour to the clock tower at the start of the walk was really nice and certainly worth the effort, but I did get some really great views of it from Abberley Hill later on. And Abberley village, of course, delightful little village, just as I remember it from my brief visit for my lunch 34 years ago. I wonder where that chap that worked in the Manor Arms Inn at the time, I wonder if he's still in the area. I wonder where he is. What's he doing now? Love to know.